I'm Richard Gisbert, and you're at Al Jazeera's Playlist, the show that's devoted to the world's most dynamic musical fusions, the sounds that bring people and places together. On the show this week, the Playlist goes on a journey to Pakistan to trace the country's rock roots from Lahore to Karachi. We'll meet the next wave of guitar maestros combining Eastern traditions with jazz and rock.
Wherever there's a guitar and an amp, there's a guitar player.
And Afro pop meets American classic rock in the music of Extra Gold. All of that coming up on the Playlist. First up this week, we're sampling the new rock rhythms of Pakistan. It's a country of diverse musical tastes, from Asian folk to Persian pop and some traditional sounds out of the Arab world. It's also where rock and Sufi come together. Sufi is the devotional poetry of Islam and has long provided lyrics for music played during worship. Now, not everyone likes the blending of rock and Sufi. Some of the music was banned in Pakistan. It's an interesting story, and we've asked some Pakistani rock legends to tell us about it, just as the country's next generation of rock fusion hits the airwaves. The story of Pakistani rock fusion starts in the early 90s with Junoon. Someone called them the U2 of Pakistan. It might have been the guitar sound or the rooftop gigs. Band's founder and guitarist, SALMAN AHMAD, is credited with inventing the genre.
The sounds that I used were those sounds that I grew up with. So I was born in Lahore, Pakistan, so I heard a lot of spiritual, devotional music of South Asian Muslims. Also, I heard a lot of Bollywood, film music. And then I grew up as a teenager here in Tappan, New York, where I grew up with Led Zeppelin, sort of Santana, Aerosmith, guitar music. So you put that together and then you'll get an idea what Junoon is.
He put together a band that really took the best of rock and the best of local Qawwali traditions and brought them together and created something new. It was something that had the power of both. And that's, that automatically made Junoon just like a force of nature. I think kids all over Pakistan it was like hearing, the Rolling Stones or Zeppelin for the first time. It just blew their minds.
Adrian CHEESLEY signed Junoon to record label EMI after seeing a video of theirs when he was in a hotel room in Hong Kong.
I was just amazed that there could be, a heavy rock band coming out of Pakistan, given that in the whole region there was no rock whatsoever. Whether it was in India, it was just Bollywood, whether in the Middle East, which was just Arabic pop. So that stood out immediately.
The fluidity of the melodies in the Qawwali and the sort of joyfulness and playfulness, but also the intense expertise that's necessary to do Qawwali right, really mirrors what it takes to be a great rock and roll musician.
But back then, being a Pakistani rock band was not easy.
We had a military dictatorship which had banned all Western music. You couldn't play guitars on TV. Because we were suppressed as students, we started playing Western music in sort of secret.
Junoon made enemies in the Islamic fundamentalist community when they took classical Sufi poetry and sprinkled it in amongst their guitar riffs.
Kids loved it. And this was like, you know, poetry from 100 years ago, which was now modernized, reinvented, reclothed through rock music. The kids loved it, except the establishment hated it. And so they banned us.
Junoon and their like were part of an underground rock scene, and it might have stayed that way if Pervez Musharraf hadn't decided to shake up the country's state-controlled media after he seized power in 1999.
You know, before there was only one state television channel, terrestrial channel, and if you didn't get on that, nobody would see you. But now satellite TV was there. The internet had come in. So our songs, which were banned in Pakistan, were out on satellite television and on the internet. We beat the ban that way.
The liberalisation of media definitely opened up more channels for rock and for rock musicians. So I think Pakistan in that way is very healthy. I mean, it is probably the best, certainly the best rock scene in the region.
Junoon quickly went international and cleared the way for new bands in Pakistan, who were flourishing in the country's new media environment.
Grown up with Junoon. Yeah.
Grown up with their music, so you cannot take that away from Junoon ever.
I think the music has just progressed because the musicians got more exposure to different technologies and different production techniques and different styles.
Like Junoon, Aro combine Western rock with Urdu lyrics and traditional South Asian sounds. They are one of Pakistan's most popular rock bands.
If someone was to ask me what is Aro, then I think it's melody. It's
Melodic rock.
Melodic rock.
MEKAAL Hasan, a jazz rock guitarist, occasionally played some bass for Junoon. His current band comes close to Junoon's style of Sufi rock. But what sets their music apart is the addition of traditional Punjabi flute and vocals.
So when I wanted to make a band, I said I'm not going to do the typical rock band or the typical pop band. I really want to work with something which is from this area. Because someone like me has grown up with guitar, bass and drums, you know, I just thought that it made perfect sense to take these really beautiful melodies and try and work with them and try and not lose the flavor of the melody and still have it sound musically exciting. unique things that we do is that we started doubling flute and guitar lines, which is something which I haven't ever heard people do before. And it was really hard for me because I had to relearn the entire instrument according to how flute player would play it. So I still struggle with it.
You have just traditional musicians and singers, but with this, kick-ass guitar player who can go from shredding amazingly well to then doing really hardcore sort of post-bop jazz to then doing, qawwali inflected scales, also on the guitar. And that's really spearheaded this ability of Pakistani rock to not just do sort of one form of rock and then qawwali, but to bring in a lot more styles.
Another band wearing out guitar necks in Pakistan is Mizraab. Their sound is characterized by lengthy and fluid guitar solos.
हमारा साउंड जो है वो प्रोग्रेसिव रॉक में ही आता है और कुछ गाने अल्टरनेटिव भी हैं उसके अंदर. मेरे इन्फ्लुएंसेस ऐसे हैं कि जैसे अगर एक आदमी रॉक म्यूजिक सुन रहा है तो वो रॉक म्यूजिक ही सुनेगा. मेरा ये नहीं है, मैं टेक्नो ट्रांस और ये सब कुछ भी सुन लेता हूँ, लेकिन म्यूजिक अच्छा होना चाहिए.
Pakistan's thriving, and every one of these bands can trace their roots back to Junoon.
I'm happy that today, with MEKAAL Hasan, with Aro, with Mizraab, you have a sort of a new generation of bands which are carrying on the rock tradition in Pakistan.
Sufi poetry and hard rock, Pakistani style, from Junoon, MEKAAL Hasan, and others. Now, if you'd like an instant replay of that story or any item we've ever featured on the playlist, just visit our website, go to aljazeera.net/English, and look for the link to the playlist. Next up, after the break, we'll meet a Kenyan-American hybrid band blending Afro-pop and US rock that has moved into the global music consciousness.